Okay, hello from the second film in the series where I'm playing and trying to comment the game during it. And yeah, today we can see that there is a game against a player from Vietnam that is ranked uh, over 2000. And yeah, he started with knight f3. I can answer something strong to fight for the center, so maybe d5. I could answer in the different form, could play c5, e5, e5 probably not because that pawn would hang. Yeah, he has answered e3, so I thought that his plan would be trying to flank to the bishop, but he probably would rather try to put that bishop on this diagonal, here or here. So how I can play against that? Maybe I don't need to do anything serious yet. I don't need to make any decision. I can play something standard like knight to f6 to do not show what I want to do with those pawns. Okay, and here there's something that I need to react into because he played c4. He's directly attacking my pawn on d5, and he's trying to exchange the his c pawn for my central pawn, because as you probably know, the pawns on e and d are called the central pawns, and it means that yeah, they're a bit more important in the beginning of the game because we're trying to fight for the center. What I can do, I need to answer. Not necessarily. I can play something like c5 or e6 or yeah, attack the pin the knight and the queen here. But then I would lose the central pawn for the c pawn, and yeah, that's not the best exchange that I can get. So yeah, I'm trying to answer c6. So whenever he will exchange the c pawn, I can take that with c pawn too. Knight to c3. I don't see any serious threat from this move, so I can do whatever I want. I can try to develop my pieces. That's probably the most important part of my plan at the beginning of the game and the opening. So I can, yeah, for instance, put the bishop here, put the bishop here on g4. I can move the pawn on into e6, but then I'm blocking my bishop on e6. In the other hand, if I would move the bishop to here or here, I'm weakening the pawn on b7. So maybe that would be a scary thing, so I should be careful with doing anything serious here. So yeah, I cannot spend too much time on it, so I need to make any decision. So let my decision be to play e6. I'm blocking my light square bishop, but I'm doing that on purpose because yeah, I'm simply accepting that yeah, it's gonna be a weaker piece at the beginning of the game, but later it should get some activity. He's planning to play bishop b2. There is no direct threat yet on the board, so I can just continue the development. Bishop to e7. Fight for the center is so far more or less on equal because yeah, probably very soon he will play d4, and then he will regain his part of the center here. However, I'm not sure if he will play d4, because if it would happen, it would mean that he's blocking his dark square bishop. Yeah, I can do the shortcut. Yeah, king side castle. There is nothing wrong happening, and yeah, as I suspected, he's blocking his bishop here. So yeah, right now this is the setup that is very similar to the Queen's Gambit. And a positive thing for me is that his bishop is behind this pawn block of the pawns, because in most of the lines of the Queen's Gambit, this bishop is either on e4 or g5. And instead of that, this bishop is not that good and very static on b2. So yeah, I can just continue the development, maybe rook to e8 with a plan of maneuver the knight to f8, maybe later to g6. Okay, in this kind of the lines, very important part of the game is fighting for e4 square and e5 square. And right now, what I can see that maybe my putting the bishop on e7 wasn't that good, because that bishop would be much more active rather on d6. But yeah, I can still improve that. Just be okay with the fact that yeah, I can change my mind later and put the bishop back to the d6. And yeah, possibly that could happen very soon. Because yeah, his plan would be either to put the knight on e5, because I said that this is one of the very important square in this variant. And the other option, or the other plan for him, would be to try to push the pawn further on the e file. And both of those are probably a good option for him. And right now I need to think how to counterattack into that. What are the options? I can counter on this side, but yeah, at the end I might be with the d pawn that would be isolated, because yeah, for instance, I would play here, we would exchange the pawns on the between the d and c here. Those two pawns would be exchanged, same as those two, and then I would be left with the isolated d pawn. Isolated pawn is the pawn that cannot be defended by any other pawn, and yeah, that would happen for the d pawn. This is why I cannot push this one forward. Other alternative that yeah, can happen here in the game is maybe me trying to push the e pawn, and that would probably make more sense, because at least I would get some extra activity. So yeah, maybe that's something that I would done, and this is why I'm changing the placement of my bishop from e7. That wasn't that active, because I'm not defending any pin on the knight, but rather on this diagonal that yeah, can create some, maybe not serious problems, but at least some pressure on the opponent. So we'll see what happened here. What would happen? Okay. As I said, this is very similar setup to the Queen's Gambit. But yeah, with two major changes. One is that my opponent has lost his active bishop on the king side, the dark square bishop. And the other change is that I have lost an extra move with my bishop. And yeah, right now is a first real threat on my opponent's side. Because he's threatening that he will push the pawn to e5. And yeah, as I said, I will try to explain the algorithm of just thinking during the game. So first thing that we're always analyzing is checking what is the intention of the move of my opponent. So here it is the push of the pawn into e5 and double attack on knight and the bishop. And can I just don't do anything about that? I don't think so, because that would mean that I'm losing the piece. Can I, and then the second step, if I cannot ignore it, what I can do about that? there are A and B option. Option A is always try to first find a counter attack. And is there any counter attack I can do? I can try to attack a piece, or take some, or attack a weak piece, the piece that is not defended or something like that. Or I can just do that threat of my own. I cannot do any threats on the king, because everything seems to be defended here. And there is no undefended piece that I can attack in a simple way. The only undefended piece stands on the b2, but I don't have any option to attack that, which means that probably I need to react to the threat. So option B, react. Either escape, exchange, or do something to lower the risk of the threat. And here I can, for instance, push the move the bishop back to let's say c7, so there would not be any problems with this bishop with double attack here anymore. But then I would allow to put the pawn on e5 anyway, and that would create a problem of for this knight, because there are not that many places where this knight can go. So that's probably not the great option. What all are the alternatives? Okay, I can take the pawn on e4. That's one of the options. He would probably take that with the knight. I can take that with the knight. He's taking with the bishop. I'm moving the knight to f6, and then he would probably need to react, do something about this bishop on e4, either return that to the c2. And let's stop the calculation here. And what is the end position? He's having a bit weak pawn on d4, but also two really strong bishops on those two diagonals. And I think it's a really good and positive position for him. So what are the alternatives? I can just try to mess the position a bit up and try to play e5. But what would happen after that? I'm opening the position a bit smoother. But there are some problems after quick exchanges on e5, of course. And then he can play something like f4. And he's pushing the center very quickly, so that's probably not the option. The first line that I'm calculating here is e5, d takes e5, knight takes e5, knight takes, bishop takes, f4. I can, for instance, give the check, but that's just one check. But later on, push the pawn into e5, and he's having a great attack. So probably I'm having a worse position here. I'm forced to take that. Everything as I planned. Why I have said that I should take that with the knight, not returning with the knight with the bishop to c7. First of all, I'm having a worse position, and he's having a more space. So any exchange is an advantage of mine. So this is why I should fight for that. I should try to force as many exchanges as possible, because each of those are making the endgame to the making an endgame sooner, which is rather a positive thing for me, because less pieces on the board. The more problematic it could be the pawns that are ahead of the board from his perspective, because those would be rather a weaker point that can be attacked by my rooks, my pieces, than rather weak pawns than pawns that are very aggressive and can create an extra threat on the opponent's side. Okay, what is the plan here? He might plan to put the knight to e5. That's probably something that he's trying to do. But I need to do something on my own. My plan is right now to put some activity into my bishop. First of all, I'm planning to put that bishop on b7 and then try to push the pawn to c5 to have a similar counter to a pair of the bishop on the opponent's side, because yeah, those two are really monster pawns. The only thing that is saving me right now is that he's still having the pawn on d4, and yeah, it's blocking him a bit, at least, from having a really aggressive and strong playing here. But yeah, let's see. So my plan here would be probably trying to play queen to c7, move the rook to d8, but of course, as I said during the algorithm that I have explained earlier, with every move I'm first checking any threats that he can try to do. But yeah, so far I'm not seeing anything. Okay, here is the tactical kind of the threat. Because maybe not the direct threat, but yeah, for instance, he can try to push the pawn to d5, exchange the bishop for the knight. So my pawn on h7 would be undefended, and yeah, there are mating chances for him. What I can do against that, for instance, I can try to first of all play h6 just to stop that knight from getting to g5. Of course, he can play d5, but yeah, my calculation here is that even if he would try to push the pawn forward, I can just take it back. After exchanging the bishop for the knight, I can take it with the queen, queen to h7, king to f8, and yeah, even after queen to h8, there is no final mate there, because I can still have the escaping way for my king, for instance here, through the e7 file square. Okay, and here probably I should try to start thinking about doing something on my own, because I need to create a counter of my own if I cannot just stay and do nothing. So what are the options? I can, for instance, try to activate the rook in such way, try to put it on d7. Alternative, of course, is always to move the queen, but I don't want to put the queen either on e5, because then I would have a direct possible pin with the pawn and rook, and I don't want to put the queen on c7, because then I'm leaving the f6 knight without defense as it is as it is right now. So yeah, my plan would be probably right now playing something like that. I'm continuing my plan. Nothing has changed yet. I'm really low on time, so excuse me if I'm commenting less than usual. But yeah, this is also a downside of trying to play and comment and explain in the same time, because it's simply harder. It takes more time than it would be without that. Okay, one of the things that I have started considering in this position is trying to do the maneuver with playing g6 and putting the bishop to f8. So it's gonna defend the h6 pawn, and it's what is most important, it's gonna block that dangerous double threat of the queen on the bishop here. Okay, he has played here. Nothing bad is happening yet. I can just simply play here, return the bishop with a possibility of playing g6 later on. A good thing is that maybe this knight on e5 is really active, but also it's blocking any tactical possibilities for exchanging the knight from here. Okay, I've missed this one because I didn't know that it's his plan to move the knight to g4 to threat taking the knight in this way. But yeah, nothing bad is happening. I can just, or can I? Yeah, I can play here. That was a part of my plan, or one of the optional plans, just to play g6, block that tactical threat here, and later I can, for instance, put the bishop on g7, but no rush with this. I can wait. Position, I need to be honest, it's still passive. It's worse for black, in my opinion. But that's gonna be example of how to defend maybe this kind of the position, I hope at least. But so far, Yasha 76 is playing very well game. No doubts on his way of playing. And yeah, he's returning the knight to e5. I don't get it, to be honest, what is behind that, but yeah, I can just play here. Nothing is happening. I need to be careful with time control here because I'm really low. Okay, queen to e3. Maybe adding some pressure to h6 pawn. So yeah, maybe he will try to play something like that later on. That's the only thing that I can see. And yeah, another thing is that yeah, he's leaving the d-file with the rook and the queen. So yeah, he's also maybe trying to put some extra pressure here. What I can do, I can for instance try to relieve myself from that pin and add an extra pressure on this diagonal, because yeah, right now I'm the one that is creating the threat, because I can try to play c7 with the option of taking the pawn on g2. So yeah, so far I was more reacting to his plans, and right now I have a moment to just try something on my own. Let's see how it will end. What would be his reaction? What are the options for my opponent to defend? First of all, he can escape with his pawn from g2, but then he's leaving that diagonal for me, and yeah, for instance, later I can put my bishop on h1 and threat the mate on g2 with the queen. That's a really random thought about that, but yeah, that's one of the options. But yeah, he's simply leaving a diagonal for me. If he would play something like if f3, then he's making some weakenings around his king on the dark squares. And the question would be if I would be able to use that for my own purposes. Whatever would happen, I need to be also really careful with the threats on the other side of the board, and also calculate any possible tactical movements with light squares here, because after playing h6 and g6, and this pawn structure is not that strong. Okay, g4. That's nice. I haven't expected that. But yeah, it creates a lot of tension here on the king side. I like that approach from my opponent here, to be honest. What are the options on my side? I can, for instance, try to play h5 just to challenge that those pawns immediately here. But there would not be any threats because yeah, he's not forced to take that, because yeah, if I would take that, he can take that back with the h pawn, and probably he's quicker with putting his rooks on the h file. So opening this side of the board is not a positive thing for me. So I need to play something very different. But what? The time is rushing. Yeah, let's maybe try to open that diagonal anyway, because yeah, as I said, if he is pushing the pawn from the g file, this diagonal stays open for my bishop. So let's use that. One of the things that would be on the board after exchanging those two pawns is that, yeah, for instance, let's imagine that he's playing here, I'm taking that back, and then if that knight from the e5 would disappear, I can always play something like the knight to g4, sacrifice the knight, but with having an opportunity to take that undefended bishop on b2, because yeah, during the game this bishop is still hanging. Of course, it's not that in danger because yeah, as I said, it's very hard to make an attack on that. But after those two pawns, and yeah, this piece would disappear from the diagonal, it can be threatened. Okay, queen here. Right now he's threatening, because yeah, one of the undefended pieces on my part or side of the board is the rook on c7, so I need to defend it. I can try to defend that with the rook on from e8 to c8, so it became defended again. He took that first. I can take that here. And yeah, there is a huge exchange possible right now on the board, because yeah, he can play here. I'm nearly forced to exchange that. He will exchange the bishop. I need to take that back. And he's having a strong rook on d7. And yeah, that's not the happiest ending for me. But still, I have that strong diagonal on my side as something. So I need to play with that, with the cards that I still have in my hands. And yeah, after all of those exchanges, there will be a threat of taking the pawn on e6, because yeah, there would be a pin on the pawn and my king. Okay, didn't happen. So what I need to do is probably return with the piece. May I play here? Okay, yeah, I'm returning with the rook to add an extra defender to the 7th rank. I don't see any concrete threats here on the king side. Maybe he will try to play here h, but no, that wasn't part of his plan. So I can just simply continue the blockade on this part of the board. Maybe playing h5, trying to challenge this pawn chain once again. And yeah, there is a nice playing that I can try if... Okay. Here. Yeah, I'm calculating if I'm able to play here, if I'm able to play bishop to g4, but that would not be that fortunate, because then he can take that. I would have a free bishop, but yeah, later on he can put his knight either on a6 or f6, and yeah, maybe I'm getting rid of this bishop, but probably later I would be forced to exchange that for the knight anyway, so I don't want to make this knight as active, so I'm trying to play something else. Only 2 minutes on the clock of my opponent, so we need both to speed up a bit. It's less than a minute on my side of the board. I think that my plan should be to put the bishop on f8. First of all, I'm adding an extra defense to the g6, e6, but most importantly on d7, and there would not be that many threats with playing off knight to d7 anymore, because that would be defended since then. And yeah, this is why I'm playing that here. Okay, any threats? I don't see them, so I can play something cool here, like here. And yeah, one of the plans of mine is right now maybe trying to move the queen to b8 to make it a bit more active. Yeah, he has played here. No, that's bad. Because yeah, he's planning to exchange the bishop for the knight, and then move that piece to move that knight to d7 and play to f6. So it would be really monsterish piece. So I need to stop that from happening. This is why I have played that. He still have an extra activity here, and it's hard to play that as black. Okay, he should play something else. The critical move that he has missed was playing bishop here. Then I would not have any possibility to defend myself. But fortunately, he has played something else. Right now, I can try to create a threat of my own. So yeah, right now I'm threatening to put the piece here. Okay. That's crazy. Just 2 seconds left on my side. Okay. Finally, the threat that I was afraid of for a longer time. And yeah, here I'm forced to give up the exchange. But as a counter, I need to create some threats here. I'm probably losing that, unless I would win on time. There is still a hope here. Sorry for not commenting that much here, but yeah, plenty of the things are happening here. Right now, there is a direct threat that I'm creating into my opponent. And yeah, I can... I think I have at least a forced draw here. I can, yeah, give out the perpetual heal of the queen and the queen and play something like that. But let's see if I have something more. For instance, I can try to play here. He can try to escape into that part of the board. Or, yeah, I can take the rook back. Oh, that's the line that I was waiting and hoping for. Because the rook on d8 is hanging and there is a double attack here. Of course, that was plenty of the luck with the tactical position with very little of time on both sides. But at the end, I'm having a position where I'm 2 pawns ahead. So that should be a winning. Also, in this kind of the end games, usually the knight with the queen is stronger than a bishop with the queen. So, and yeah, at the last point on my side, his king was really vulnerable. Yeah, he's offering revenge, but sorry, not this time. But yeah, really good game. Thank you, Yasha, for it. Sorry for winning in this style. It was really a tough game, well played by my opponent, but at the end, with more time pressure on his side, he just failed and made some final mistakes. We can quickly check what Chess.com tells about this game. What is the percentage of the accuracy on both sides? And it's really bad on both sides, to be honest, because there is 67% on my side, 71 on his, and yeah, simply I was the one that made less mistakes. And yeah, there have been also 3 perfect moves by me, those that I have made at the end. Okay, I shouldn't take that with the rook, rather take that with the pawn, probably. No, that's also an inaccuracy. So what should I play? Is there something stronger? Playing here? I'm completely lost. What could be an option here? Any hint? Move with the bishop. Playing bishop here is the best. I would never say that, to be honest. And yeah, move rook to e7 was not that best, that good. What should I play instead? Maybe once again offer the exchange here. Yeah, so that was not something that I was thinking about during the game, but yeah, for most of the game my queen on a8 was really weak. We shouldn't put our queens at the edge of the board or at the corner of the board, because yeah, it still had the hope that one day it will go to the for the king, but it took almost the whole game to get any activity. In the other hand, he was still having some activity with his queen. So yeah, maybe I should get rid of that active piece for the price of having any possibilities with that queen to be more active on a e4, for instance. And yeah, that was a great move of my opponent. And yeah, as I said, that was a miss. Probably a better option was to play here, and that would be a mate and 6. That was a total win. That wasn't the best move, and that game was lost after this. I was forced to give up the exchange. And here, yeah, it's +4 for my opponent. Probably the critical decision of my opponent was to place to play queen to h2. Why? Because simply there are those tactical maneuvers with taking the h pawn, taking g pawn, and winning the rook. Yeah, so for most of the game I was losing, but fortunately when the time control was also a problematic part for my opponent, he has made a critical mistake. However, congrats for him for a good game. And I hope that someday we'll have another opportunity to play against each other. And yeah, maybe this time the god of chess would be probably better for him, and yeah, would simply pay him off, pay him out for a good and well played game. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that you have learned something, and see you next time.